Welcome to the Boston Barrister, Kevin Patrick Sieber, bringing you insights about your family and the world.
This week on the Boston Barrister episode, I want to talk about review and redetermination in the juvenile court. I want to talk about the who, what, where, when, and how you implement and execute a right to review and redetermination. So the first is who can file for a right to review and redetermination in the juvenile court. And the answer is a parent who has not, let me repeat, not had your parental rights terminated. So that's the first factor. This is an adjudication. We agree that you're unfit at some point in time during the juvenile court proceedings. Examples of this, when you might do that, when would I file for a right to review and redetermination and agree to adjudication I'm unfit? And that happens in the juvenile court where perhaps you have a substance abuse problem, that you relapse and need more time to show the judge, DCF, and the court that you are a fit parent. But right now, because of your relapse, you may need more time to do substance abuse treatment, your AA and NA meetings. Get that sponsor. Prove to the court that you are sober and drug-free. So in essence, what you're doing is you're buying more time. So once you sign and adjudicate that you're unfit, but your rights are not terminated, and that's the important thing here. You don't want to have your rights terminated. When your rights are terminated, you have no more rights to your child. And they're going to have the child put up for adoption or guardianship. What are examples of when a right to review and redetermination in juvenile court is executed? And that's a great question. I recently had a client call me. She had indicated that her two children are with a friend of hers. So the child, or children in this case, are outside the foster care system. They're with friends of the family, friends of the mother. So the mother had a relapse. Part of sobriety is relapse. Part of drug treatment, substance abuse, is relapse. The crazy part is that we, in America, treat substance abuse problems, which should be treated like a disease. So if you had cancer, they wouldn't be being punitive or punishing you. But in cases of substance abuse, at times it feels that way. And I've heard from many clients that tell me that they feel that they're being punished, that it's punitive, that they don't trust or believe them. So trust and believability, which is really credibility, is built up by showing a track record of doing the right thing. So in this case, the mother didn't have her rights terminated. She signed an adjudication that she was unfit. But what that allows her to do when your rights are not terminated, and this is the important thing, how do you go about filing for a review and redetermination in juvenile court? What you do is you go back into the court and file a review and redetermination. And these have time standards. So what are the time standards on filing for a review and redetermination in the juvenile court? You can go back and file for a review and redetermination every 6 months from the date when you were adjudicated by the juvenile court to be unfit. And what does that mean to file for an adjudication of not having your rights terminated? Therefore, you can file for a review and redetermination in the juvenile court. What this does is that you can ask for an updated court investigation where the court investigator will be reassigned to evaluate, analyze, and write a report submitted to the court as the conduct, behavior, and attitude of, in this case, the mother. And that's exactly what we did. So we get the court investigation. We put down all the evidence and facts, such as mother was attending AA on a regular, consistent basis. We have proof of that with signed sheets. We have the sponsor, who is anonymous, write an affidavit. We submit that to the investigator, as well as the urine screens that are clean. We do these on a consistent, regular basis. Every 3 months, you do a hair follicle to show there's no slippage, no use of drugs or alcohol. You participate in various programs, like an IOP, to get back on track. And you participate in individual and group counseling. You get yourself a relapse prevention coach. You take some nurturing classes to be a better parent. You do everything under the sun and then some. Why is it so important to go above and beyond the DCF action plan? The reason it's so important to go above and beyond the DCF action plan, it shows commitment. It shows you're trustworthy. It shows that you will do whatever it takes to get your children back. You don't do it for the judge. You don't do it for DCF. You do it for yourself. It'll make you a better parent. And therefore, you are the mama bear or papa bear to the baby cubs, which are your children. And you want to be the mentor to them. And you want to show them that regardless of the adversity, whether it's the court, with the judge, DCF, or any other entity, you are there to fight for your children. Can I get my children back with a review and redetermination? The answer is overwhelmingly yes. When you do a review and redetermination, you'll have a future court date, and you can do a trial if you want. In my experience, if you do everything you're supposed to do and then some, DCF will welcome with a huge smile on their face. Because whether you believe this or not, most social workers are real decent people, as are their supervisors, area program managers, area clinical managers, and area directors, and the regional, and everybody else involved with DCF. They want you to succeed. It makes their life easier, and it also helps the children. The children belong with their parents, with their families. It should be family first, not foster care or out-of-home placements. But remember, DCF can't do this unless you do the hard work. What happens if DCF disagrees with the review and redetermination to have my children come home? When DCF disagrees with the redetermination, review and redetermination, what you do is you go to trial. You bring in the court investigator who was reassigned, who wrote the report, and have them direct and cross-examine. You bring in your AA slips, put them into exhibits and evidence. You bring in the fact that you're in individual as well as group therapy and have that individual testify on your behalf on time of trial. You have the IOP people come in, the relapse prevention coach. You have, and go get yourself an expert who can testify to all your hard efforts that you've done what you need to do, and therefore you not only deserve, you earn the right to have your children back. What is the beauty of a review and redetermination when executed properly in the juvenile court? The beauty of a review and redetermination in the juvenile court is that every 6 months you can petition the court for another court investigation and do a court investigation of all the facts and evidence that you are a fit parent and that you deserve to have your children returned to you and that you've done all the hard work. Again, not easy, but if it was, everybody would do it. Hard work should not be something that deters you from getting your children back. The only thing that deters you from getting your children back is you. What is a review and redetermination? A review and redetermination is when a parent has adjudicated themselves to be unfit, however, their rights have not been terminated in the juvenile court. So therefore, after the date of that adjudication, every 6 months, you can file with the court a petition for a review and redetermination. Where can you file a review and redetermination? The place to file a review and redetermination is in the juvenile court. What happens when you file a review and redetermination? A parent or a caretaker files for a review and redetermination in the juvenile court. Courts will assign a court investigator to do a court investigation of all the facts and evidence. The court will schedule a date to come back and have that review and redetermination heard, so that if there's disagreement, you can have a trial. If DCF disagrees, you get your children back. Where does the review and redetermination take place? The review and redetermination takes place where you had adjudicated that you were an unfit parent, and that 6 months from now, because you're looking to buy some time, you come back in and the court will assign another court investigator, and you'll have a right to trial to determine whether or not you're fit or unfit currently as a parent. And if you're found currently to be fit as a parent, you're going to ask for your children to come back. What are the myths, misconceptions, mysteries about a review and redetermination? The myths, mysteries, and misconceptions about review and redetermination are really just singular in nature. It's a very underutilized tool, in my opinion. Something that gives parents other types of alternatives to having their parental rights terminated. And this is one of the myths and misconceptions about the juvenile court, that permanent doesn't mean permanent. You can have permanent custody given to DCF, you can have your adjudication, but so long as your rights are not terminated, you can always come back every 6 months to fight regarding this review and redetermination. So you want to think through everything you're doing, and it buys you more time, because sometimes parents are not ready for many, many, many reasons, including maybe they need housing. And it takes time in today's age because of the cost of housing, getting the deposit, and maybe they're seeking second-hand housing. Go to DCF and ask them to help you. They've got housing specialists. Take advantage of DCF to help you with such housing issues. You may have a situation that you have to complete a program, such as a batterist program. There's been domestic violence in a relationship, and that's going to go beyond the year where DCF has to make a determination to adjudicate the case, which is the case in all cases. They only have a certain time. Usually it's done within a year, sometimes 15 months. Situations arise where you may have postpartum depression or some type of mental health issue, and they don't go away overnight. Sometimes you need to buy a little time. So you adjudicate the case, being unfit at that current time, but you file for review and redetermination. If your rights are not terminated, 6 months down the road, you get yourself all buffed up with a psychologist, psychiatrist, get your medication under control, and you're a fit parent. You file for redetermination, review and redetermination, and you have a court investigator go out and look at all the facts and all the evidence and contact all the collaterals. That's a win-win for you, for the judge in court, as well as DCF, and that your children get to come home because you're a fit parent. Utilize this underutilized tool of review and redetermination. It's not practiced as much as I think it should be or could be, by not only practitioners as lawyers, but also DCF and the courts. In the immortal words of Yogi Berra, it ain't over till it's over. Don't ever think it is. Even when your rights are terminated, sometimes there's things you can do to get back in the game. Not often. It's a small slither of hope, but you can. But more importantly, when your rights have not been terminated, think review and redetermination. And again, as Yogi Berra said, it ain't over till it's over. The bedrock and foundation of our great nation is the U.S. Constitution, which reads, "We the people." Don't ever forget that.